I have a great book idea. Maybe you can help me with it. I'm not seeming to be able to sell it, even at the very earliest stages. Somebody told me it might be a problem with the title, some problem with the title getting marketed. It kind of goes like this. I mean, I haven't narrowed it down, but this is the way life is. This is what it is. This is the way it's going to be. It's only going to get worse, so deal with it. Cope with it. The best you can do is the best you can do, and therefore, quit fretting about it and let's just get on with it, because that's the way it is. Why can't I sell that? Oh. My friend sold his. It was entitled, "These Bad Things Don't Have to Happen to You." With a foreword by Jesus that says, "Get thee behind me, Satan, because you don't understand the real purposes of God." The book's selling really well. Okay, let me get my tongue out of my cheek and talk to you a little bit of it. When Jesus is having an encounter with the disciples on the road, and he's trying to teach them some really rotten things are about to happen. And we're going to head right into the middle of them in Jerusalem. And Peter grabs him and says, no, these things can't happen. We won't let them happen. You are the Son of God. You are this, you're that, you're the prophet. You've got right on your side. Bad things can't come your way. And Jesus says, you hinderer, get back there at the back of the line. You don't have your mind on straight. You don't have your head in the game. This is God's game. But Jesus, what about, and now I'm just building a story, but Jesus, what about over there in the words of the teacher, the preacher, Ecclesiastes 11:9 through 12:14, where it says, "Rejoice, young man, while you are young. Let your heart cheer you in the day of your youth. Follow the inclination of your heart and the desire of your eyes, for you know that all these things..." Oh, wait a minute. What's wrong here? "But you know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment." Was he talking out of both sides of his mouth? Rejoice, enjoy life, celebrate, because these are good things in life, but understand that they have to be weighed in the balance. Well, he goes on. He says, "Banish anxiety from your mind and put away pain from your body, for youth and the dawn of life are vanity." They seem meaningful to me, but they're vanity, the preacher says. "Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years draw near when you will say, 'I have no pleasure in them.'" Another Tom pause a second. Well, interject the time, eternity connection into this moment of carelessness and carefreeness, and try to grasp hold of something that you can only really learn through years, as early as you possibly can, that your deepest connection, your most powerful connection is God. Because there will come a time when you can have all these things you want, but without the capacity to enjoy them. Somebody hands you a candy bar and you say, "Ooh, I love candy bars. I especially love that kind of candy bar. That would have tasted wonderful 25 years ago." Back to it. "Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds return with the rain." Here you go. Finally, I really enjoy listening to a bird and watching a bird. Just stopping and watching a bird play in the front yard. But I can't seem to focus on it as well. "In the day when the guards of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the women who grind cease working because they are few, and those who look through the windows see dimly. When the doors on the street are shut and the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song are brought low. I always have thought that if you can read Ecclesiastes without grinning, smiling, or chuckling, or crying, you just haven't lived long enough. You haven't experienced all these things. Because they're so true, they're just hilarious. When one is afraid of heights and terrors are in the road, the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails, because all must go to the eternal home and mourners to the streets. What are we doing? We're remembering our Creator before. It's harder and more difficult to remember our Creator. Before the silver cord is snapped, and the bowl is broken, and the pitcher is broken at the fountain, and the wheel broken down at the cistern, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and breath returns to God who gave it. There's no better time than now, beloved friends, my son, my daughter, my grandson, my granddaughter, to remember your Creator. We don't all know about time, you know. Last night I went to bed and I knew that sometime this morning I would have surgery, procedure. Kind of looking forward to getting it over with. But I woke up at this time that I've been waking up at the same time of daily since this hospitalization that began June 1st. And I had that wonderful window of opportunity to have a visit with you. And I've started this thing 4 times. And what I thought would be the uninterrupted part of the morning have had interruptions. And it's whittled it down to whatever you're getting now. Because I've stopped and discarded and stopped and discarded. But the truth remains the same. It just keeps getting refined. And what at the end of that passage of Ecclesiastes, it says that people write a lot of books. They gain a lot of wisdom. They put it down, and we study the thing over and over and over again. But the end of the matter has been heard. For fear God, have reverence for God. Remember your Creator. Get in touch with what is real. That's the whole duty of everyone. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. We're not the filters. We're not the sorters. That's the blessed capacity and prerogative of God to sort it all out in judgment. But for us right now, Paul says in Galations 5, beginning verse 25, and into 6, if we live by the Spirit, let us be guided by the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, competing against one another, envying one another. My friends, if anyone is detected in a transgression, you who have received the Spirit should restore that one in a spirit of gentleness. Take care that you yourselves are not tempted. Okay, there you are. You're on the road to where the teacher of Ecclesiastes says you need to be on the road to. And you're remembering your Creator. And you're doing the best you can at it. And you're seeking to reverence Him and to place Him at the center. Not that He has to be placed anywhere, but orient our lives around Him so it looks like we're placing Him somewhere. And then we go off on this path or that path. And we need someone to gently restore us. And so Paul continues, bear one another's burdens, and in this way you'll fulfill the law of Christ. For if those who are nothing think they're something, they deceive themselves. All must test their own work. Then that work, rather than their neighbor's work, will become a cause for pride. Here comes something that almost sounds like a contradiction to what we just read. For all must carry their own loads. Bear your own burdens and carry your own load. Those who are taught in the Word must share in all good things with the teacher. How do you decide whether you're supposed to be bearing your own load or bearing someone else's load? You don't have to decide that. Whichever one is in front of you at the moment, do it. Don't worry about equity here. Don't worry about, well, I'm not being treated fair in this deal. If you want fairness, the desk is over there. Let us not grow weary in well-doing. But before that, he says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For you reap whatever you sow. If you sow to your own flesh, you'll reap corruption in the flesh. But if you sow to the Spirit, you'll reap eternal life in the Spirit. Again, it's the orientation. Again, it's the center. Again, it's the purpose of God. Where am I going? What is life? I want to remember my Creator. I want to remember where I've come from and where I'm going. Therefore, he says, let us not grow weary in doing what is right. For we will reap at harvest time if we do not give up. So then, whenever we have an opportunity, let us work for the good of all, and especially for those of the family of faith. So quit trying to market that book. That book on how to get by, how to get through life without suffering, without pain, it's not worth reading. If you can buy it for 10 cents at a thrift store, recycle it. It's nothing. It asks the wrong questions. It asks, how do I get by? It asks, how do I squeeze through the holes? How do I avoid discomfort? But the God way is to go for something much deeper, that involves something that could make us weary, something that could wear us out, tire us out, wear us down to the bone. And yet, it's the one where if we don't give up, we'll experience the reward, which is not multiple pats on the back, which is not material reward. It can include that, but it's something so deep that it can never be taken away. And so what do? I just sense this question popping up this morning through all these scriptures as I've been meditating over them and trying to teach them and then coming back and reteaching them and then finally whittling them down. What do? Well, we have this gaze. We're just kind of scanning the pan. Is there an opportunity? Is there an opportunity? Is there an opportunity? And he says, wherever we have the opportunity, let us work for the good of all, especially those of the family of faith. Now, swinging back a little bit to the Gospels, going back to the life of Jesus, there comes a turning point in Jesus' life, as Matthew is recounting it, that he begins to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and on the third day raised. You see, up until now, some people are still mistaking the title of Jesus' book as this how to get by, how to live easy, how to just enjoy things. Even Ecclesiastes is not talking about that when it says, enjoy life, celebrate the sorrows, celebrate the parties, celebrate your youth, celebrate wisdom, but remember, it's all going away. No, they got the title of the book wrong. No matter how many times Jesus is saying, take up your cross and follow me, live the life of a servant. Peter, who knows more than anyone else and less than he ought, takes Jesus aside and he says, God forbid it, Lord, this must never happen to you. An elderly friend of my grandfather's and a member of our extended family when I was a teenager, and he had been tragically one night killed in an automobile accident. And she walked up to the casket with me and she said, why should something like this happen to a good man like Dewey? His name was Dewey. Many people called him Papa Dewey, even though he was only about 5 years older than I am now. And I remember thinking something that I didn't understand at the moment, but it's always been with me when people have been deluded enough to say it even about me. But why should something like this happen to such a good person? And I thought, well, why not? I mean, why should any of us be exempted? And especially the one like Jesus, who has set his mind on purpose, who has discovered that the reality of living, the greatest call of living, is to live on spot, on purpose, to discover that. And so he turned to Peter and he said, "Get behind me, Satan, you're a stumbling block to me, for you're setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." Oh, is there a hint? That somehow or another we need to shift our thinking? Then Jesus told his disciples, sorry about that, I'm believing these days in living life unedited, so this is unedited. Jesus told his disciples, if any of you want to become my disciples, my followers, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit them if they gain the whole world, but forfeit their life? Now, one of the drawbacks being in the hospital is I don't have all my Greek tools in front of me, so I can't look up to find out if the same word for soul and life are being used here. But I know that there is one word that means both soul and life. Suke, or we say today psyche. You lose who you really are. Truly I tell you, there's some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his glory. And that was another thing Jesus gave them that they could get the wrong idea about. Because there's a way in which this morning we can see the Son of Man coming in his glory. When we really understand what it means to lose our life for his sake, take up our cross daily and follow him. But still, if you're in the middle of the river and the waters are rising, you cry out in prayer. You want some help. And this God who does not woo us over to the easy way, who does not entice us with mere earthly pleasures, but is always reminding us in the midst of those, remember your Creator. And then comes along when the grinders aren't working so well. I think that's the teeth. And the rest of things are not happening on schedule. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, they're antithetical. He hears us. He hears our raw prayers, not to leave us in a place of self-pity or self-loathing, but bring us to a place of joy and peace in the midst of it all. And if he is willing to take us to another day where we can continue the process, but also start the process again. So join me in praying Psalm 69. Salvum me fach. Best Latin I can do today. Save me. Save me. Save me, O God, for the waters have risen up to my neck. I am sinking in deep mire. There is no firm ground for my feet. I have come into deep waters, and the torrent washes over me. I have grown weary with my crying. My throat is inflamed. My eyes have failed from looking for God. Those who hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of my head. My lying foes who would destroy me are mighty. Must I give back what I never stole? O God, you know my foolishness, and my faults are not hidden from you. Let not those who hope in you be put to shame through me, Lord God of hosts. Let not those who seek you be disgraced because of me, O God of Israel. Surely for your name I have suffered reproach, and your shame has covered my face. I have become a stranger to my own kindred, an alien to my mother's children. Zeal for your house has eaten me up. I am humbled myself with fasting, but that was turned to my reproach. I put on sackcloth also, and became a byword among them. Those who sit at the gate murmur against me, and the drunkards make songs about me. But as for me, this is my prayer to you. At the time you have set, O Lord, in your great mercy, answer me with your unfailing help. Save me from the mire. Do not let me sink. Let me be rescued from those who hate me, and out of deep waters let me be rescued. Let not the torrent of waters wash over me, neither let the deep swallow me up. Do not let the pit shut its mouth about me. Answer me, O Lord, for your love is kind. In your great compassion, turn to me. Hide not your face from your servant. Be swift and answer me, for I am in distress. Let me pause. From prayer for your prayer, don't you suppose that in order to keep that resolve that Jesus had with Peter, he needed to be praying these things, this way, these emotions? In order for Paul to realize the opportunities about him, that he had to be touched by his own pain and the pain of those around him. Don't you know that it's the old teacher in Ecclesiastes who's speaking these words and who has experienced these scenarios? Hide not your face from your servant. Be swift and answer me, for I am in distress. Draw near and redeem me because of my enemies. Deliver me. You know my reproach, my shame, and my dishonor. My adversaries are all in your sight. Reproach has broken his heart, and it cannot be healed. I looked for sympathy, but there was none. For comforters, but I could find no one. They gave me gall to eat. When I was thirsty, they gave me vinegar to drink. Let me just say, this is a long prayer. And it goes on. And I invite you to read it and pray it and not filter it, and let God filter the answers. These are not the answers. These are the questions and the heart cries. But the key to the prayer is, save me, O God. And he does, and he has, and he will. So at some point this morning, after whatever's been done has been done, I think I'm going to take another nap. I'm going to let this thing process through YouTube. I'm going to do uploads. I'm going to go through all this stuff, and I might sleep a little. They tell me they're coming for a gurney to take me away, to the funny farm, where they can put some stuff in me. Cream of amnesia, I believe they call it down there in the world of anesthesiologists. And then they're going to do some stuff. Put a long needle and tube in me and start drawing out some of this infection, some of this gunk, and making the world a better place for you and for me and the whole human race. I don't know when they're coming. I really don't. No man knows the day or the hour. But we can live and we can celebrate and we can commemorate and we can understand that what is. We can look for every opportunity to do good to other people. We can pray for one another. We can lift one another. We can be gentle with one another. We can restore one another. That's what we have at our disposal today. And all of that makes today an exciting day. And so, let me give you this final benediction for this morning. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel guide uphold you. With his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. See you later, my dudes and dudettes.